me see. I cannot fucking stand users. Can't stand them. Oh my god. Shit. What's going on, you guys? This is Sam Sim in the spot. And I guess I want to do this video about using as fucking family members, bruh. And also like so-called friends. And I'll probably get into that in another subject because, I got a lot of fucking, so-called friends and shit who I don't hear from anymore, but, whenever this new project comes along, because I know a few people and I know I got connections and shit. I just never implemented a lot of the connections on the music side, but for the most part, just some using ass motherfucking family members, man. I got a cousin that I don't really consider a cousin. He's around my age. But he was born and raised in California by his mom. His father is my cousin. His father and my grandmother were first cousins. And, my cousin passed away. He passed away at the age of 61. He was one of my mentors. He taught me a lot about engineering. He taught me a lot about sound engineering as well. And how to run my own business. Doing that, he had a license for doing that. Taught me a lot about jazz. Actually extended my knowledge on it. A lot of our buddies were jazz musicians, and they're slowly dying. They're slowly passing away every year and shit. We're losing, the elders in New Orleans who were prominent jazz musicians. So throughout my life, my cousin taught me a lot of things. In fact, I have this album up here. But he had a son. And from my understanding, his son didn't really want to have anything to do with him until he died. But his son, he would always tell me that he had a son who lived in California, and his son recently had a child before my cousin died. I'm the type of person who spends a lot of time with the elders in my family, a lot of the men and a lot of the women. So my grandmother's aunts, like my great grandmother's brothers and sisters, and even their wives and husbands. I was keep in contact with them just to make sure that they were all right. So especially with my cousin's mom, after he passed away, I would always keep in contact with my aunt. My aunt is now 94 years old. She still has her brain. She still has her, her thoughts. She cooks on her own. She doesn't need anybody to help take care of her. And she has her pet dog there as well to keep her company. So, to make a long story short, this asshole, which is my cousin's son, and he's about what, I guess 36, 37 years of age. When my cousin died, he came down for the funeral only to see what he can get. It's like one of these assholes who, like, when motherfuckers get old and shit, when they're on their deathbed, or when these elderly people who are on their way out the door, you got these motherfucking people, family members, so-called family members, who are like, hey, how you doing, AT? How you doing, AT? You got people like me who constantly keep up with these people because I'm a family historian, and I like to keep the family together. I'm all about family unity. But this guy, man, my cousin, after the funeral was over, I overheard him, talking to other family members like, yeah, I'm going to stay in town, for another week. I have to get some of the papers transferred from, him, and, get the truck in my name. My grandfather, not my grandfather, but my cousin had, he recently purchased a brand new F-150 truck, before he passed away. So, you know, I didn't think anything of it. I just know that, you know, it hurt me that my cousin unfortunately passed away. And even before he died, like, we had a business going on. He had a license for it, you know, for doing the sound engineering. We would do concerts at festivals. We worked for Cash Money. You know, we did things for various record labels, various events. You know, from the Superdome to you know, festivals and hotels for a lot of jazz musicians. We had sound equipment in various areas in strip clubs. Like, you know, I can go down there now and, you know, just talk to a lot of jazz musicians. Like, they know me by face. Like, you know, I spent a lot of years doing this. So, you know, I would invest into, you know, our company as well. The year my cousin died, you know, I gave him a few $1,000s, you know, to help expand the business. And, you know, all of a sudden he just died on me, you know, age 61. So now his son comes out of the picture and shit. You know, he comes down there to see what he can get. He gets the truck, drives the truck back to California, and, you know, I hear, like, you know, a year later, you know, I'm calling my aunt, just doing the usual routine calls to check on everybody to see how they're doing. And you know, this motherfucker took the truck and, you know, got arrested, got a DUI, you know, drunken while intoxicated, and lost the truck. And, you know, it kind of hurt my aunt, my 93, 94 year old aunt, because, you know, it was kind of sentimental to her. After Hurricane Katrina hit, you know, he bought a lot of new equipment and, you know, just, you know, bought him a new vehicle as well. And, you know, like I say, you know, nobody ever said, well, you know, Sam, you know, do you want your cousin's equipment? You know, nothing like that at all. But, you know, like, the son to just come out of the blue and, you know, start picking up shit. Well, anyway, you know, he was supposedly married in California, had his own, you know, family out there. Something happened with the loser. I mean, I saw him at the funeral where he was dressed up like a pimp at the funeral and shit. And I already knew, like, just looking at his attire, I already knew, like, you know, this guy is like, you know, a loser. I just never said anything 'cause I was grieving at the time. But then at the repass, I'm listening to him, you know, talking about, you know, like 3 conversations, and it was all about the fucking truck, which he lost now. So something happened with his wife or his girlfriend or whatever, you know. So she's taking care of the baby in California, and now all of a sudden, like, he wants to move down to New Orleans to stay with my aunt, you know, because now, before my cousin passed, they were in the process of renovating their house. You know, nice big 2-story shotgun camelback house in the Seventh Ward of New Orleans. So he has this old rinky-dink job working at Home Depot, and, you know, he wants to stay down there with his grandmother, which he, you know, growing up, he never called her to see how she was doing, anything like that, you know. And now all of a sudden it's like, you know, grandmother, you know, I'm gonna come down there and take care of you type shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, she can take care of herself. And, you know, I had to keep telling her because she's gullible. I had to tell her, like, look, you know, just watch yourself, make sure that you're not being used and all of that. You know, and she's like, no, I'm going to make sure he has a job. He's definitely going to work if he's going to stay here and shit like that. But, you know, we dealing with a guy who's just, you know, going out to see what he can get. So, wow. And I can even say this about my grandmother up here in Ohio. You know, she stays in Youngstown, and, you know, my stepbrothers and stepsisters, you know, even brother and sister, like, they all used up all of her resources, and, you know, like, she can't really loan out any money, you know, to anybody else who legitimately needs money. Not saying that I do, but I'm just saying, like, what if I fell off and I needed to borrow a couple $1,000s or something like that, you know? And I mean, I've actually shelled out money to my siblings. Like, here's so you can, get your car out of repo. Here is so you can take and get your rent paid. Here is, so you can take and handle your business. And, they fuck up the money, whatever they do. But then, they run out of resources, and then they go and use these elderly people as well, And then when they're on that deathbed, it's like, oh, I gotta go take care of grandmother, so they can go in the house and see whatever they can get and all this other crazy shit, man. It's sad. So I know with me, if I ever live to be an elderly man, I'm not gonna let motherfuckers get close to me like that. Like, even now, like, I have nephews, who think that just because I don't have any kids, that like, I'll be able to take and support them if they fall off. And meanwhile, they can continuously procreate with various women, no responsibility whatsoever. There's no accountability, and then after everything is said and done, you can take and get help and shit from a motherfucker who is known for saving money. You know what I'm saying? And I hate it. I despise them for it. Because if I ever fell off and I needed to use anything, I can't, because all of the resources are gone. So, I'll just go ahead and end it right there, man. Because I know with my aunt, I had to make sure that this property that I have, well, that my cousin had in New Orleans, I had to make sure that that particular property did not go to this fucking asshole. Because my cousin had a plan for it, and not only that, I've invested money into this business. So I'll be damned if this guy's going to come down there and just come and fuck up shit just because he has fucked up his life in California, and now all of a sudden he wants to come down there and do it. I mean, I have a grandmother who lives in New Orleans. It's the same situation. My grandmother caught a stroke, and, her sons, like that saying that they always say about how black men, who they're loved by their mothers, but the daughters are raised. I mean, it's a fucking true statement, because my grandmother had 5 kids. 3 of the girls, my mom included, independent, hardworking, go-getters. But the 2 sons, one of them, like right now, is locked up in jail, and the other one, I mean, he's just never been able to fucking get it right. My grandmother has co-signed for him on all of his vehicles, constantly sent money to him, and he's always fucked it up. Now he'll be 57 this year, and since my grandmother caught this stroke, one of my aunts has been handling the money. And what does he do? He calls her up for $3,000 here, $2,000 there, because where he's staying in Arizona, like, he's a complete fuck up out there. But then, when me as a grandchild, whoever, if I needed, to use anything from her, then, I can't, because those resources are not there. So, it's a sad situation, man. Real sad situation. And I'm just tired of it. Like, motherfuckers are not conservative enough with their funds. And if they don't show any conservatism at all with their own assets, they only need motherfuckers no money. Plain and simple. I just got off the phone with my grandmother from up here in Ohio. It's the same shit. It's like, a lot of the grandchildren, have used up the resources, $2,000 here, $3,000 there, and shit like that. And I had to explain to her that, these same motherfuckers is the same people that I've helped whenever they fell off on their ass. You know what I'm saying? And, she was just telling me, like, that's a lesson that we both have to learn, But, I would never let those motherfuckers get close to me like that. Never. I remember when my grandfather passed away, it was the same shit with his son, his older son, the one who, who calls up mom or calls up my grandmother whenever he needs some shit. Whenever he has some kind of fucked up pyramid scheme, he has to call her and shit. And, there was this internet website that he was going to start. This guy was working at the fucking Crazy House out in Arizona, working at the Crazy House. And he calls to my grandmother because he has this new idea. Come to find out, one of his patients at the Crazy House had the idea. Some $10,000 idea. So my grandmother sends $10,000 to my so-called uncle, and the plan went sour. I don't know if he gave the money to the guy to help start off the business, but the guy ran off with the money pretty much. So I'm looking at the whole internet site because my grandmother was happy about it. Like she was all excited and shit. She was saying that this was gonna be a new way for her to make more money and all that shit. And I looked at it and I'm like, Mama, man, I could do this shit for like $5, man. This ain't shit. And I kept telling her that, and she ended up catching a stroke. Like she was real stressed out behind that shit. And she caught the stroke back in like 2008, and I guess until recently, this is the first time in like all of these years that my fucking so-called uncle was able to go down to see my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Because of the guilt. It's the same guy who my grandmother always co-signed on vehicles. Nobody ever had to co-sign on my cars. Never. But you don't get that type of credit. Like I heard one girl say in another video about how, she, was educated, no kids, going to school and all of that. And she had to drop out of school, because of lack of funds. And, the other person who was in and out of jail and, causing all of this trouble, when they got out of jail, they had this big ass party and shit. Everybody was spreading money and splurging money on the fuck up, but not the educated person. And that's sad. And then you get blamed for being conservative. You get blamed for being the one who is known for saving money and shit like that. These are fucking losers, man. And I call them out in the family. Seriously, these are the ones that you do not want to start a business with. And I mean, if they hear this shit, because I think I'm going to send this shit to my mom. I'm going to let my mom hear this video. And I'm going to let her tell me what she thinks about this. And if she decides to let other motherfuckers hear this shit, then that's what it is, man. But I can't tolerate them at all. I can't stand them. So, I mean, with my grandfather, man, when he passed away, before he died, I have a lot of shit that he told me on his deathbed that I recorded. But the one thing that he wanted to do was to reach out to his son and, a few of the daughters that he had to, try to, patch up things, to try to rectify some of the fuck up things that he did in his life in the past. Now, my grandmother forgave him for all of this. But the oldest son, the mama's boy, didn't want to speak to him. But after he died, then all of a sudden he wanted to know, where is all of his stuff that was in the house? Like, how much money did he leave behind? And, what's going on with all of his furniture and all of that shit? Like, I have all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I have it. The man wanted to speak to you and shit. And he's like, well, by law, I'm his son. No, it doesn't matter anymore, man. He's always been the one, like, me and my grandfather would always have these conversations where, this fuck up would always call, oh, can I borrow $750? Like, everything was always $750 with this nigga. You know what I'm saying? But then you got guys like me who never ask for anything and shit, and you just look at it, you're like, damn, man, God forbid if I ever fuck up, because I don't have anybody to depend on. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it off like that, because that shit kind of get me frustrated. But I just wanted to share this with you guys and just let you know, do not deal with, family members who are always dependent or always financially unstable. Don't fuck with them. Build up your team just like how you will build up your friends, because family is just as bad, man. Serious shit. And I think the next video I'm going to go off about some more losers. I'm going to have a loser session where I talk about, people at work, like the brothers at work who, they be all in the bathroom and shit, talking about the revolution. And then when you get in the hallway with some of these fat fuckers, they want to talk about, oh, yeah, man, he's smiling all in these fucking people's faces and shit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, talk about those assholes too. And we'll just expose a lot of these guys, man. I have about 30 videos like just chilling, and I've never even posted them because I'm always immediately hit with, you know, certain things that just need to be immediately put out there. It needs to be discussed. So there's a lot of guys that I just don't respect, and those are the type of guys that I don't. I felt like, you know, I wanted to start it off from a family standpoint, from a family you know, situation, and you know that's pretty much the video right there. You know, I'm not gonna take and grow old like, you know, a lot of my elders who I went to the hospital and stood by them by their hospital bed, and you know they're telling me, you know, they're giving me this knowledge, man, and then at the same time you got these motherfuckers, you know, behind the scenes, you know, just trying to figure out how much they can get after these motherfuckers die. You know, I'm done. I'm tired of that shit. So this is the video, man. You guys be cool. Sam Sim. Peace.